Welcome back. Beckles Recher 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Let's go to the Bartow Ford DAE hotline, and let's bring in our guy, Lawrence Owen, host of the Believe in Colts with DeQuell Jackson on the Believe Podcast Network. Also, host of the Colts Law Podcast. Lawrence, what's going on, buddy? How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, we appreciate you joining us today. And my partner, Ian Beckles, huge Carson Wentz fan. Just kidding. Not quite. But how would you assess his performance? I mean, it looks like he's kind of keeping things keeping the train on the tracks. But we did see that pick a couple weeks ago where he was throwing it left-handed from his own. It was kind of crazy. How would you assess his performance so far this year?
I think so far this year, Carson Wentz has done a very good job of generally just staying within himself and only making those quote-unquote Superman plays when he absolutely needs to on third and longs and stuff. Now, he does have 3 interceptions this season, and you have seen, like you talked about, that end zone play where he put in a bad situation on a bad play call at a bad time where he will try to extend occasionally and do some questionable things. But for the most part, I believe he is playing winning football for the Indianapolis Colts.
Now, I watched the highlights of the last game where the Colts absolutely trounced the Bills. And, I watched the highlight. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched the highlights. And it looks like the Colts are using the RPO a lot to help Wentz's decision-making. And I don't see a lot of deep throws on first and second down. So is it key to stopping this offense on first and second down and getting them to third and long?
Yeah, I believe you're probably onto something there. Carson Wentz has been using – Frank Reich, Carson Wentz – over the last 4 or 5 weeks have been implementing that RPO more and more and more every week, kind of going away from the whole play action thing, which they started off the season, the first 6 weeks of the season, as the most RPO team in the NFL, and they went to play action in the NFL and have went more towards that RPO, which I believe fits Carson Wentz a whole lot better. So, yes, being able to stop them on first and second down, forcing that third and long so that you know as a defense that they're trying to pass probably is the best way of going about stopping him.
Talking to Lawrence Owen, host of the Believe in Colts with DeQuell Jackson on the Believe Podcast Network, also a host of the Colts Law Podcast. And Lawrence, I mean, man, we've watched from afar the brilliance that is JonathanTaylor, and got to see him a couple of years ago when he was in college, when he was here in Tampa, and my goodness, this guy just keeps getting better and better and better. What is it like to be able to watch that guy do what he does on a week-in, week-out basis?
Oh, man, Indianapolis Colts fans hasn't seen anything like this since since Edgerrin James, right, who just got into the Hall of Fame. JonathanTaylor, just as you said, he seems to be getting stronger as the season progresses. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that he's been on a snap count kind of through the first half of the season and was able to keep his legs fresh. And also, the running back stables, right, for the Indianapolis Colts, being able to utilize other backs like Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, in order to allow him to be able to continue to stay strong as the season gets through. And, JonathanTaylor, oh my goodness, man, when he's got that rare ability of being a power back with that breakaway speed, and the fact that his field vision has become so good over the last 8 weeks is just a testament to how he is improving with his NFL career.
Now, Lawrence, we have a situation here where the unstoppable force, which is the Colts running game, nobody's really stopping them, and the immovable object, which is the Buccaneers run defense, and I haven't seen anybody run on the Buccaneers in years. Do you think the Colts have enough moxie and belief in themselves to just line up and run the football against these Buccaneers, or you think they have to be innovative with it because something has to give?
Well, you know what? That's an interesting question because I believe it's strength versus strength, right? Mm-hmm. The Buccaneers are right now the best in the NFL at stopping the run at only 78.4 yards a game that they're allowing. It's unbelievable. But at the same time, when I go back and look at the 3 losses for Tampa Bay, the teams that have beat them have carried the ball at least 24 times in the game. The Rams, Washington, the Saints, all of them carried the ball at least 24 times. They didn't average a lot, but for some reason, it still produced a win. So I think that Frank Reich and this offense really needs to lean a little bit on that running game, whether it's producing or not. in order to have any shot at beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Lawrence, because my cohort here, being a former guard in the NFL, he always talks about it's not always about rushing yards. It's about rushing attempts. And a guy like Quentin Nelson, I know he aggravated that ankle injury in that game against the Bills. What's the latest on his status for the game? Because, man, he is one of, if not the best, to do it in the game right now.
Well, right now it's just a walkthrough. Yes, it is an aggravated. The reports today came out that he is day-to-day. So, yeah, losing a player like Quentin Nelson, who is, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the NFL, whether it's guard, center, tackle, is a big hit. But It is good that the Indianapolis Colts have good depth at the interior of the offensive line. If he can't go, Chris Reed will step in, and he's also a mover in the run game as well.
This Buccaneer team and Tom Brady was, I think we had 10 different players catch balls, and I don't know, 6 catches from a bunch of players. There's a whole lot to deal with. You think the Colts have enough defensively to slow down this Buccaneer offense?
Ooh, defensively. That's an interesting question that you say there. The key to stopping this Buccaneers offense, in my opinion, is getting pressure on Tom Brady. You got to be able to get him, make him throw that football before the receivers get into those soft spots in the zone that the Colts love to play defensively. If they are able to do that, then I think they have a shot. But without any kind of pressure on Tom Brady, Tom's been around forever. He is a great veteran, knows how to pick apart zone defenses. Indianapolis Colts fans know this, and they're going to be looking towards guys like Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, Kamoko Toure, and those guys in order to get pressure on Brady to be able to force him to throw before he's ready.
Lawrence, I got to ask you about a guy like Darius Leonard. He kind of came out of nowhere, and then boom, as soon as he really was playing full time, he just became one of the best linebackers in the game. How's his production been this year, and how key is he going to be to stopping maybe Tom Brady or even the running game with Leonard Fournette and Rojo and the like?
Oh, Darius Leonard is a huge key to this defense. The Indianapolis Colts lead the NFL in not only turnovers defensively, but because of that, the offense now leads the league in points off those turnovers. And Darius Leonard's a huge part of that whole turnover machine that the Indianapolis Colts have right now. Obviously, he's got a ton of interceptions and forced fumbles and fumble recoveries himself, but because of the energy that he brings on the field, it helps the rest of the team kind of step up and play a little bit above themselves. So that helps out a ton.
Hey, Lawrence, how much credit would you give Frank Reich for getting these guys ready this year to play? They're looking great, and for all their success, they play extremely hard. And for me, they look well coached. How much credit should Frank Reich get?
No, he should get a ton of credit. I think that Frank Reich is one of those rare coaches that are able to look at the guys that they have on his team and game plan and make plays based off the strengths of those players, and then call those. He's also incredibly aggressive, as you may know, when it comes to like going for fourth down and stuff like that. He's a big statistics guy, and I think that Frank Reich, he's really earning his paycheck, especially with he got that extension this past season, and right now the Indianapolis Colts, they started off very tough with a slew of injuries, including Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson and stuff. And it started off with that bad 0-3 start, and they are now 6-2 in their last 8 games. So that speaks volumes to not only his play calling, but his ability to keep the players focused and not let them get down and get them from game to game.
Great stuff, Lawrence. Hey, Lawrence, why don't we preview the Super Bowl in a couple months? That would be a nice little matchup. Lawrence, host of the Believe in Colts with DeQuell Jackson on the Believe Podcast Network, also host of the Colts Law Podcast. Lawrence, we really do appreciate it. You can follow him, Colts_Law as well on Twitter. Go check him out there. We appreciate it, Lawrence. Enjoy the game this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everybody down there in Florida, man.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.